Welcome to Kicking It Local, the podcast all about the football community in South Australia. I'm your host, Johnny Keko, and this is part 2 of my NPL preview with the coaches. If you haven't listened to part 1 just yet, make sure you go back and listen to the previous 3 coaches to see what they have to say ahead of their season. But in today's episode, I'll be catching up with FK Beograd's Joshua Smith ahead of his first season as head coach of the club. He's brought in a few big inclusions, including Jared Clark, an international for Vanuatu. Plus, he's managed to keep a massive player in Joshua Mori on the back of his time at Adelaide United. Plus, Jim Tsekinis from West Adelaide talks about the rivalry with Adelaide City and how he cannot wait for round 1 clash against his former teammate in Paul Pezos. But first, let's get straight into the brand new coach for Adelaide Comets for 2023, George Tsonis, as he talks about what it's like to be back as a head coach of an NPL club. And he also shines light on which player will be out for 15 weeks of this season. Let's get into part 2. I'm here at Ellis Park with Adelaide Comets brand new coach George Tsonis for this year in 2023. Mate, George, thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure. Thanks for having us.
It's a big year for you. Back as a head coach once again after leaving Adelaide City as an assistant under Paul Pezos last year. You inheriting a team that's made the grand finals the last few years but just couldn't win it. How have you found the pre-season coming into this big season of 2023?
Yeah, I guess it's been really exciting, to be honest, working with a new bunch of boys that I sort of didn't know personally. It's been really fun, to be honest. Back as a senior coach, and really looking forward to the task ahead. The club has set a huge precedent in the past 4 years, but I guess that's what life's about: challenges and looking forward to it.
You've had a few changes as well from last year's squad with Scott Nagel, who's left. What are some other important ins and outs for your squad in the off-season, and what are some of the reasons behind those changes?
More so the outs with Alan Welsh taking on his personal career in becoming a firey, so he can't be with us for at least 15 weeks, so that's a huge loss. Obviously, as you mentioned, Scotty Nagel, an experienced player, and we unfortunately had a mishap with Lockie Stead, who was an upcoming player. Unfortunately, did his ACL in training a couple of weeks ago, so that's 3 big outs. But in saying that, we've brought in some young, enthusiastic young boys, which I'm sure in due course will become great players for the club.
The club's obviously known for bringing in younger players here at Adelaide Comets, but what should we expect from this squad coming into the season?
I guess, I'm pretty sure every coach will say, exciting football, energy. I guess when you're coming into a new role, you sort of need to try to stamp your authority, how you want things done, and that's why you probably need a bit more time. Hence why we've done a few more sessions than probably that I would like. But the whole Comet setup from 18s to reserves to seniors, there's such a good number here of young boys willing to learn, and what I've noticed in the past couple of months I've been here is their attachment to the club. It really is, when a few years ago looking out in, you wouldn't really respect it, but past couple of months it's a credit to the board from top down. They've set a really good standard of being a family club.
Is there any pressure on your part coming into this club knowing the circumstances of grand finals and not being able to capitalise on those big occasions? Is there any pressure on your side, or are you coming in feeling fine?
I guess I put pressure myself in life in general to be the best I can, whatever I do. So, we all aspire to win. To say that I don't, mediocrity doesn't sit well with me. You try your best, and if it doesn't work and you fail, so be it. Life goes on. But as long as you know that you've done your best, then you've covered all bases to try achieve that.
Now, you did mention about some of the changes you've made this season, but is there anyone you can put your finger on that we should keep our eye on this season?
Yeah, there's a boy that we've brought in from Adelaide United setup. His name's Abi Molas. I think he's got a great future ahead of him. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and obviously the guys that have been here before, Ryan Yates. Well, what can you say about the guys? Probably play close to 150 games at such a young level. So, yeah, those two obviously should do good things for us this year.
And finally, the club is obviously known to have been moving around with home grounds of late. Service FM is currently the new home where your home games are going to be played. Ellis Park, where we're recording right now, is not too far away. Hopefully, should be done by the end of the season. But what's the club's ambitions on the field of play in regards to what they want to take out of 2023? Is it trophies this year, or just to make the finals and just build something for the future?
I guess in terms of our home base, we should be on training on the main deck within a fortnight, all going well, and the club is aspiring to play at least 2-3 home games this year. So that's a positive. In terms of aspirations for the club, you know, we've sat down as a group and we said, let's just try to be the best we possibly can, work together. And if things don't go our way, we don't need to hit the panic button. I guess there's a process for the next couple of years, and the squad is quite young. It is, it's got a lot of years ahead of it. So, again, we just need to look after ourselves and let the football gods maybe give us a bit of luck.
Well, it sounds like it's all positive around this area, and as you did mention, it is a very close-knit team, especially with everything it's been through over the last 12 months as well and coming into it. Good luck this season, mate, and hopefully it's a successful one for yourself in the first year back as a head coach.
Thanks very much, mate, and to yourself. Keep up the good work around the local traps. We need people like yourself. We don't get enough credit, I guess, and thanks very much again.
Thank you so much. That's George Tsonis. I'm here with FK Beograd's head coach of 2023, Joshua Smith. Mate, thank you so much for joining me.
No worries, thanks for having me.
This season, you're the head coach for FK Beograd, taking over the reins from Damien Murray. You got the full season ahead of you this season. How have you found the preseason after taking over from Murray's spot?
Look, I've been blessed, that Damien's put a lot of good processes in place, and I thought has brought back, that winning mentality and the professionalism to the club. So, for me, I've just been able to add some bits and pieces here and there, and followed up by some good young signings. And no, I'm happy. We've got a good group of boys, a good mentality. People want to work, people want to win. So, look, I think we're tracking quite nicely. It's only been 8 weeks, but yeah, we're heading into the season strong, and hopefully we'll do well.
You are taking over Damien Murray, but one thing he has left you is Josh Murray. His son is still in your squad. How important is having him in the squad, and what are some of the other important ins and outs that you've made in the off-season, and what are some of the reasons behind the changes?
Look, Josh Murray's a class player. I think everyone saw it last year with the quality that he brings. So, getting him back was after his stint with Adelaide United was number one for us, and not only what he brings on the park, but what he brings off the park with the group, the professionalism. He's a very likeable guy. We're lucky to have him, and hopefully we can help him progress to where he wants to be. In regards to ins and outs, I think, look, we've lost obviously a lot of experience with the guys that brought the state league title and the promotion, being Jordan Pudler, Jacob Butler-Bowden, Evan Kunavelis, Deal Chamberlain. They're all big players that have helped the club in the past, but I think it's now the opportunity for some of the younger guys that have come in to take over, and we've been able to bring in some good guys that have been in the system before. Jared Clark, Adam Lee and Bruno. We brought in Yared Abitu, a couple more. So these are all guys with with youth team or A-League experience that can really add a lot to the group and help us progress.
Some of the changes you've made to the squad are putting your team in a really good position to make the finals this year. What should we expect from your team, and should we be expected to see you guys as a dark horse for the season?
Look, I think last year, the aim for the season was not, to avoid relegation. It was to make the finals, and I think we finished 1 point, out of the top six. So, definitely this year, and the club's ambition is a big club with big history. I don't think definitely don't want to be a team that just make up the numbers over the next couple of years. We want to be a team that progresses, that promotes young players, that sells players, into the A-League, but also competes for silverware. So, for us, the first goal is obviously to make the top six, and then once we've done that, to make the top four, and then after that, everyone wants to win a trophy, right? Like that's what we play for. So at the end of the day, I think we've got a good group of guys, and we've been able to bring in some experienced NPL guys as well. Donnie Pollock's come in, he's played previously at Metro Stars, South Adelaide, Burks, can bring a lot to the group. But yeah, no, we're pushing, and even with the existing players, I think we've had a lot of young, players step up, and obviously some of the senior guys that have been here have gone to another level as well. So looking forward to how it shapes up.
You've managed to maintain Josh Murray again, one that everyone loved watching last season in the league. Is it just him that we should look out for, or is there anyone else in the squad that we should keep an eye on this season?
Look, I think Josh Murray, will always be one to watch, for the next couple of years. I think he's really come into his own as a player, but I still think he can get better and improve and be knocking on the door of, any A-League club that wants to take a chance on on an older player, as you would say. But I think there's some other players that are probably ones to watch that have gone to another level. Would be potentially Gideon Rock, a very, very talented young player, previously been at Adelaide United, Melbourne City, Central Coast Mariners, and for the club to retain him has been huge. What he brings to the team is unbelievable ability on the ball, can play in the midfield, can play at the back, a great leader on and off the park. I think he's really a potential star for the future. And then, like I said, look, we've got a number of good young players that are just itching to have a kind of breakout season. So I'm looking forward to see who really takes that on this year as well.
And you did touch on the club's ambitions for 2023. You're looking to get finals and potentially trying to win some trophies. Have you sat down with the club and set in stone what the club's ambitions are for 2023?
Look, I think, like I said, the club's a big club, big history. Like I said, it's clear that they don't want to just make up the numbers, but I think, the goals, come from within the players and the group of staff that we've got. And, if the players believe, that they can challenge, at the top and win trophies, then that's what we're aiming for. The guys here, there's a lot of talented players that are under the age of 23, and with the national second division, starting to come around the corner, I think there's a bunch of guys, that will be putting their hands up to say, if we get a team in South Australia or two teams, that you need to be picked. So, there's a whole bunch of personal goals there, and also I think the team goals are to absolutely win a trophy this year.
It's shaping up to be a great season. Looking forward to seeing how FK Beograd do this year, and all the best for 2023 and your first year as permanent coach at the club.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
That was Joshua Smith from FK Beograd. I'm joined by West Adelaide's head coach, Jim Tsekinis. Mate, thank you so much for joining me.
No problem, Johnny. Thanks for having me.
Going into this season is a big one for the club, because we know last year you won promotion back into the NPL, the top flight in South Australia, where we know you and the club all think you belong as a club. You're back there. You did it the hard way, but how has preseason treated you and the team heading into round one against your old rivals in Adelaide City?
Look, I think with the history of the club, yeah, we belong in NPL. But look, whether we're ready or not, time will tell. It's a big transition. It's a big step. I've got a lot of young boys in the squad. I think the preseason's been really solid to date. We've had a couple of good results, but as you know, preseason is not always the perfect indicator. I think coming into the first 4 games of the season, we'll be able to tell where we're at. The club's ambition is obviously this year, the transition is to survive and just see how we go and be competitive. Anything more than that will be a bonus.
We all know the State League One is a different kettle of fish altogether, but to get ready to go into to NPL, you've got to make some changes to be able to stay in that level. What are some of the ins and outs you brought into the squad to try and cope with the new level of competition that you're going to be up against?
Look, probably there was a little bit of focus on a little bit more of a youth, so I don't think you can go with too many overage experienced players. We lost Evan Kostopoulos, who was a marvel at the back. He retired. Ricky De Silva left us our captain, and Nathan Tsekinis in particular went to Adelaide United. So we had to look at replacing those, and I think the replacements so far have been solid. We've still got our big Englishman, ball of the century nephew, that's Joe Gadding. And we've got Trey Williams in inclusion. We've got Cooper O'Donnell. We've got Min Park. There's a few players that have had NPL experience. Harry Thomas, Josh Harvey's yet to come back. So, look, there's been a lot of inclusions, and the problem with a lot of inclusions is time to settle and gel. So I think we've done well in that aspect. And whether we've gelled quick enough, time will tell. But I think at this stage, we're okay. I'm pretty happy where we're at.
what should we expect from this? The squad that you've put together this year. Should we see any style in particular that you guys are looking to play?
Look, in general, this is the hard part as a coach because you've got to put your ego aside. Last year, it was very flowing, a lot of balls in the box, a lot of crosses, a lot of exciting football. But I think this year we have to be a bit smarter, and that's something I've learned as a coach is you got to know when to play that way and when to just be patient and suck up some pressure. So I think what you should see, the biggest thing from our team at the moment looks like good camaraderie, good culture, and good fights. I don't think we're the kind of team that's going to give up, and that's based on the personnel that I've selected.
And with the personnel you've selected this year as well, is there anyone in particular that we should keep an eye on, or is it the whole team that's going to be really well played on, play really well together on the pitch?
Oh, look, I think it's going to be gelling of a squad. I don't think we've got any superstars in particular. I think the biggest name we probably signed was Trey Williams, and he's a little bit exceptional. But even with the boys we've got Costa Mantis still here. He's a captain. He's been a club boy through and through. There's things like that. I wouldn't tell you to look at anyone in particular, but you know what? We may have this conversation in about 3 months, and you may say to me, "How about this player or how about that player?" That's the kind of squad we look like at the moment, where we're not focused on just one or two players. It's a combined effort.
Well, we can't wait to see what that looks like on the pitch. Finally, you did mention, you touched on it briefly right at the beginning, the club's ambitions. So this year, we know a lot of clubs, their ambitions are to either win silverware, and most of them are to try to get that finals place, top 6. Is that on the cards for you guys, or you actually, what you mentioned earlier is that you just want to stay up this year and that's all you're fighting for? Is that the club's ambitions?
Look, I think it's the minimum, isn't it? I think the minimum is, because statistically they even tell you, Johnny, that most teams that go up, I think 70% go straight back down. So you're fighting against the stats in one. So if we can beat that barrier, if we can jump that hurdle, who knows? You know, if you keep the team on the park and you keep them gelled and you keep a good culture, top 6 is not out of the question. But hey, just gonna have to wait and see. You know, if we have limited injuries, keep people on the park. I just think you never know in this league. I think apart from the top 4, I think the rest are all going to be competitive. And obviously, I'm going around. We need to look at some of the other teams, and that's probably something I've lacked as a coach. I've sort of been out of these leagues for a while. So I came in last year. I learned all of the State League 1. But of course, we're straight up. So now it's a case of trying to pick all the NPL players and have a look more of their players and more of their teams.
Well, you're not getting it easy. Your first game in the NPL, you're going to be playing against old rivals, Adelaide City, last year's champions. It's going to be a big test for the club. But what are you looking forward to most about this big matchup? It's one of the most anticipated games of the season, and it's all going to happen at Service FM Stadium, up against Paul Pezos, who you have a bit of history with as well. How are you looking for? How much are you looking forward to this big game?
Oh, I think it's really exciting. From people like us, like Paul and I, obviously friends and teammates at West Adelaide in the old National League. So when you look at the history of these two teams, I mean, I'm really excited about it. I think they're expecting a big crowd, and so they should, because the feeling of these two teams, the rivalry over years, you can't just throw that away. You know, it's been there, and now it's time to bring it back. But the advantage we have here, I think, it's a bit of a free hit. It's a bit of the Rocky story. You know, if someone's going to offer you, like Rocky was an amateur, and they offered him a title shot, why would you say no? You'd have a crack because you don't have a lot to lose. Everyone expects Adelaide City to win. So for us, this is great. This is a free hit at the title holders. You know, anything, if we lose, so be it. We regroup. It's probably expected from most people. If we don't and we get a result, then hey, you know, we could be surprising. You never know.
Well, it sounds like from your point of view, it's going to be an exciting match to look out for. And you both have something in common as well. You both got covered in Gatorade in the grand finals at Service FM the last time you were there. We never know. It might happen again in this match. Well, I'll make sure we got some on the sidelines ready to go.
Yeah, the boys stitched us up, that's for sure. The boys stitched us up. But you know what? It's all part of it, isn't it? That's where it's part of the passion. And if the boys are buying in on that too, it's just the expectation. I'm looking forward to being a player, having been the player in these derbies. I remember the days when I'd line up against Ivanovic and Tobin and Zapika, I mean, in Australian defence. But you look at that history and you look at the crowd and the passion, it'd be the game that everyone would talk about for the rest of the week. That's how much passion was involved. So, look, I'm looking forward to it either way. Whether it be gay, I just hope we can show people what we're made of. That's what it's going to come down to the day. I hope the boys don't get any stage fright. It doesn't matter who you're playing. We should be out there and be competitive.
Well, anyway, it's going to be a very big game on Friday night. The big clash, Adelaide City versus West Adelaide. The rivalry, the derby, is back in the NPL where it belongs, and we're looking forward to that big game. And all the best, Jim, in your season back in the NPL, and looking forward to seeing what you and the club can produce this year.
Yeah, thank you, Johnny. I appreciate it, mate. We appreciate all the support, and we're looking forward to the Friday night, mate. I think it's going to be really exciting.
It absolutely is. Thanks so much, Jim.
No worries, Johnny.
That was Jim Tsekinis from West Adelaide. That's all for part 2 of the NPL preview with the coaches. That was Joshua Smith, Jim Tsekinis, and George Tsonis. Part 3 out tomorrow, and that's all on Kicking It Local. Make sure you subscribe to Kicking It Local wherever you get your podcasts so you can get a taste of the SA football community. Plus, follow Kicking It Local SA on Instagram and Twitter so you don't miss any of the action. See you soon!